Morning. Right, I think I'm on now. Should be on now. Good morning, everyone. I am un Mexicano, Wisconsin, and today, like every Saturday morning, I'm taking a morning stroll through Appleton, Wisconsin. I just realized I'm walking a little bit faster than I ought to. Just making the camera shake, but oh well. It is a lovely morning here in Appleton, Wisconsin. 7 o'clock in the morning, a little bit after 7 actually. Ooh, 7:15. I am a little bit late. It's about 70 degrees. It's a pleasant morning. A little bit on the humid side, not too bad. Today I'm gonna head south here on Mesa. I'm gonna go through the back part of Pierce Park, close to the lake. I know some of you, if you've followed this before, have seen the north side of Pierce Park. Just gonna walk around it and kind of see what's going on. Nothing really, not much planned for today. I have the kiddos with me this weekend, the littles as I call them. My number 4 has a party to go to tonight. She's sleeping over with some friends. Number 3 and 5 are just gonna hang out with me. I do need to get to work and pick up some files because I'm going on vacation soon, the week after next. And I want to make sure I'm not too far behind. But a lovely morning here in Appleton, Wisconsin. Can't really complain. Life is good. Going south on Mesa now. If you're familiar with Appleton, which I don't see why you would be, or maybe you are. I'm crossing Spencer Street. So I'm in south of College Avenue, so I guess I'm in the southern part of Appleton, Wisconsin, to be exact. I hope the sound's going well because I'm using my pods again instead of my headphones, which does make it look like I'm talking to myself, even more so than it is when I have my headphones on. But at least with my headphones on, one could assume I'm on the phone with someone. Here I just look plain weird, which, if you were to know me, is not too far from reality. So I'm about to go into a residential area of Appleton. Kind of interesting that I came from a residential area and then there's like a block of industrial, and then I'm gonna go back into a residential area. Morning. I had a friend on PlayStation that was Mexican in Wisconsin. How the hell Mexicans end up so far north? Hey, add me friend. Well, that's an excellent question. There's a quite sizable populations of Mexican up in Wisconsin. Jobs. I'll put it to you that simple. Add me friends, basically just jobs. It's a lot of Hispanics, but particularly Mexicans that migrated to this area and got jobs either in the dairy industry, the meat packing industry, or something like that. And then what they do is that they come from little towns in Mexico, so then they tell their families, hey, there's good jobs up here in Wisconsin, come and live and get a good job. So they do. Hey, Jose. Okay, good. So yeah, it's, well, obviously we don't have the Mexican population that there's in California or in LA. I've actually heard that LA is like the second largest Mexican, or the second largest, the city with the second highest population of Mexicans, even more so like Monterrey, Guadalajara. But no, there's enough Mexicans here and by Mexicans I mean Mexican nationals here in Wisconsin, that the Mexican government opened a consulate down in Milwaukee because it wasn't enough just to have the one in Chicago. But yeah, there's a lot of here that work in the, like I said, the dairy industry, the meat packing plant. Many years ago, almost 20 years ago, I worked at a meat packing plant up in Green Bay. And it was, I would say, of the labor force, maybe 80% Mexican, 15% Hmong, and 5% white. I would say there's more Chinese than Mexicans. Yeah, so they'll get over, they'll beat us pretty soon if they start migrating like we do. Although Chinese food is not bad. I like Chinese food. Of course, doesn't beat Mexican. Well, you guys have good Mexican food down in LA because you have people from all over Mexico. Up here in Appleton, Wisconsin, so point of reference, I'm maybe 3 hours drive north of Chicago, 3.5 hours, and about a half an hour drive south of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we get Mexican restaurants, but they're mostly geared towards the American audience because there's more white Caucasians here than anything else. But we do get some good ones. Every once in a while people open. You have to go to obviously the ones that are geared towards the Mexican community. Wait, are you originally from Mexico City? Because I am from Mexico City originally. We migrated back in '86 after the World Cup. But yeah. In fact, I don't know if you're going to hear the story, but my paternal grandfather was born in Texas because my dad's family is from northern Mexico, South Texas. The way the story was, the way I was told the story when I was little was that my great grandfather didn't realize that. Oh, you're from Nesa? Oh, that's cool, Ciudad Nesa. Yeah, I used to go to school, so I live in Iztacalco, so close to Ciudad Nesa. Yeah, well, back in the 80s, Ciudad Nesa was scary, or parts of it, not all of it, but my school. Well, hold on, let me finish my first story. So the story went that my paternal great-grandfather didn't like the fact that Texas was not part of the United States. So this is back in the early 1900s. So he migrated to Matamoros, Mexico, which is just on the border. That's the story I was told. Now I'm wondering if knowing my paternal grandfather, well, he's deceased now, I'm assuming that he got in trouble with the Texas Rangers and he fled the country, and that's why he ended up in Mexico. So my dad got his US citizenship through my grandfather, and that's how we immigrated here. And then after the 1985 earthquake, on September 10th and 11th, no, that's not right, 19th and 20th I think it was, my parents are like, yeah, we need to move, and also a better life in the States. But my brothers and I told my parents, yeah, that's fine, but the World Cup is coming here in '86, so we gotta stay here till then. So yeah, we stayed there until after the World Cup, and then September of '86, that's when we moved to South Texas. Yeah, I remember Ciudad Neza. So when I finished middle school, I first went to Acevetis. Can't remember the street, but it was close to the CCH, close to Ciudad Neza. I can't remember. It's Oriental? CCH Oriental? Can't remember. But yeah, Ciudad Neza is definitely not a place to mess with. They used to have a soccer team, Toros Mesa, but I think it either relegated or just dissolved. Yeah, I remember my days in Mexico City years ago. But yeah, so a bunch of Mexicans here. So oddly enough, there's still a lot of people immigrating here, both legally and illegally. There's I lived in South Texas in the 80s and 90s when I went to high school. And because it's South Texas, and you probably have this in Los Angeles too, you have a lot of people that speak Spanglish. So, the mixture of Spanish and English, which used to drive my dad crazy when we went to church, because the priest will speak Spanglish, and my dad is a stickler for grammar, so he will drive him crazy. So he'll actually drive down to Mexico, to Matamoros, for Mass. But anyway, so when I moved to Wisconsin, I'm at Walmart, and I hear people speaking perfect Spanish. I'm like, what the heck? Because there's a lot of recent immigrants in this area. A lot of people from Guanajuato in Wisconsin. Same reason, people from Guanajuato came years ago, got jobs, told their families, hey, come on over. And it's just a big migration. The funny thing is that when I work in the meatpacking plant, when it was El Festival del Pueblo back in Guanajuato, you have a ton of people just going back to Guanajuato for the festival. And so the meatpacking plant, they're like, well, we can't give you all vacation because, then production shuts down. And they're like, well, then we'll quit. We have to go back to El Festival del Pueblo. So yeah, those were hard times for the meatpacking industry in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So actually, my son, my oldest, he lives down in the San Diego area. He goes to college down there in a small university. Very small university. He's in Escondido, California. Actually he's finishing at the end of this month, but they canceled graduation because of COVID. And so we were gonna go celebrate that, but obviously didn't happen. So instead, I'm gonna go see my folks in South Texas because, well, they're old, early 80s, and actually they got COVID earlier or late last month. Oh yeah, the big marine, yeah. So my parents got the COVID. I need to be able to keep a train of thought. I apologize. Yeah, so I'm gonna go see them. Thankfully, they're both got over it and they're fine. Kind of scary for my mom for a little bit. I had to go into the hospital, get oxygen, but she's fine now. So I'm gonna go and get some with a hot style pozole when I go down there, even though it's hot. There's that base that, well, I'm not gonna even pretend I know the name of it, but yeah, it's that famous marine base in San Diego. My younger brother, yeah, he's also a Marine, or was active duty. Now he's out, but you know what they say, once a Marine, always a Marine. He now lives in Dallas. And then that's my younger brother. My older brother, number 2, he was in the Navy and actually works in Border Patrol. No, I'm lying. Works with DHS, but he works at the Houston airport with I guess it is Customs and Border Patrol. Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, at least for my brother, the Marines helped him. He wasn't a troublemaker, but kind of gave him some direction. He knew what to do with his life. So, where we went to high school in South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, which is basically in the tip of Texas, if you follow the Rio Grande and the Gulf of Mexico. It's a very poor area, so when you finish high school, you really have 2 options or 3 options college, not for many people, just start working or join the military and get out of there. So yeah, that's what a lot of people do. So over here to my right is the, I forget what this park is called. Is it Lutz Park? Or no, I'm going to Lutz Park. I don't know what this park is called, but right now I'm gonna go down this little hill and then walk by the Rio, the Fox River. I'm thinking of Mexico now. So what are you doing in Los Angeles? Oh, speaking of which, you said you play with somebody, PlayStation, a Mexican kid from Wisconsin. You know, could be two of my sons. Well, actually, one now, because the other one is in college too in Texas, so he wouldn't be in Wisconsin anymore. And actually, my number 3 doesn't really play the PlayStation. He plays with his laptop. All right, so we're going down here towards on Lutz Street. They have a little park here where you have your boats. You can dock them on the little marina here on the Fox River. Oh, you work at a brewery. Oh, you quit. Well, you know, I don't know the circumstances of your quitting, but always better when you have the opportunity to quit and not being laid off or being fired. So, oh, Miller Coors. I believe Miller is based. It was started in Milwaukee, I think. Yeah, it was started in Milwaukee years ago. And obviously now it's part of the Miller Coors conglomerate. I think, isn't it owned by some South African company that also owns all the Mexican beers, something like that. I don't know if you can tell, but there's the Fox River, but I don't know if you can tell those lake flies are flying around. They're a pain in the butt. Although now it's after their season when they bite as much, but they don't bite as much. So yeah, that's the Fox River going through Appleton. It's a nice area. Yeah, I don't know how hard COVID hit you guys. You know, my son complains about, you know, the California government, but he's used to Wisconsin government. Hopefully it didn't affect your family too much. Here, a lot of people did lose their jobs, but little by little, thankfully, they're going back to work. We reopened a couple of months ago, and little by little, our what do you call it? Our economy is coming back. So here's a little trestle, you know, obviously that crosses this part of the river, and then in the background there, past the tree, is the Oneida Street Bridge. We have a lot of, but not a lot, we have some reservations here in Wisconsin, and one of them being the Oneida Reservation, and they're up in north of Wisconsin. Oh, so COVID did hit. Well, I hear that a lot of people have passed away or been infected in California. Oh, here. Looks like some geese have something to say. Yeah, but also California is a huge state, so you guys have a lot of people, so I guess it makes sense that there will be a lot of infections, but I mean, I don't know. You know, here in Wisconsin, we're a very rural state. I think we have, what, 6 million people total, if that many. And just people not caring. And you know, that's, you know, coming from Mexico City, and you come from Ciudad Neza and then living in Los Angeles, That's the problem with the big cities. It's very easy to become anonymous and not caring. Like I was saying, in Wisconsin being so rural, there's still that neighborliness to it. You know, you get to know your neighbors. People still tend to help other people. Of course, the two bigger cities, Milwaukee and Madison, there's a little bit of that anonymity as well. Although they're nowhere as big as, you know, obviously LA. But we still have that, you know, well, one thing, being rural, people are not as close. Yeah, people here, I mean, we do have a statewide, what do you call it? Oh geez, face mask mandate. But most people, and I don't know why in the hell this became political, but even the people who they say, well, you know, you can't enforce me, blah blah blah. I mean, they wear their face mask out of you know, just common sense. Like, look, if it's gonna lower the chance of me getting it or me spreading it, sure, I'll wear it. So a lot of people do that. I haven't heard, well, I haven't said it. I mean, I've heard things here and there, like on Reddit, people complain. Well, actually, there's an area down in Milwaukee, actually a pretty wealthy area, pretty wealthy area. You know, they were debating whether or not to reopen schools, and some lady apparently said, words to the effect is like, well, my kids don't worship Satan, so they're not going to wear masks. Which I'm thinking, how do you make the jump from Satan to wearing masks? I mean, forget about the whole not being scientific. It's like, where do you get that, lady? It's like, I consider myself pretty religious and I don't get that. But whatever. Yeah, people just need to be a little bit more, you know, common sense. Just wear the damn mask. You don't have to do something, don't do it. But yeah, so as I was saying, since we're rural, since we have more, we don't really have those people close together like you would in a bigger city. I mean, we do in Milwaukee and Madison, and obviously most of our cases come from Milwaukee and Madison. But even Green Bay, which is 300,000 people, we have some, but it's not as bad as it could have been. So I think it's one of the nice things of living in a rural state, that we don't have those problems. Yeah, and I think that's more, yeah, and delivery is definitely more, I guess, prevalent down in LA. Here is not. Here you have to go to the stores. Like, I mean, we have some, what do you call them, DoorDash or whatever, and Uber Eats and all that. But, you know, obviously we don't have the amount of people doing that like you would in a bigger city. But even going to the store, I mean, people are just, here are just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say decent, but they kind of understand. So they try to do the 6 feet. They wear their masks. And, you know, common sense people. When I go to the store, well, I usually go by myself. Just one, because my kids don't want to go with me. Two, I don't want them to go with me. You know, people are pretty, you know, I'll say people here are pretty smart. Like I said, I haven't been to like a Walmart or a grocery store and not have someone wear masks. I mean, obviously I'm not wearing a mask today because I'm by myself, and I've seen, what, 3 or 4 people. Yeah, I just dawned on me. Isn't it like 5 o'clock in the morning where you are? 5? What are you doing up this early? Especially if you're not working anymore. Are you just hanging out, playing the PlayStation? Yeah, actually, I started playing the PlayStation again, you know, because, you know, we have it. But I play dumb games like Dynasty Warriors, which is basically just a button smash game. So I can't play first person shooters. Never been really good at it. Oh, I'm sorry you had a migraine. Oh, your PlayStation friend was from 2012. Oh, got it. I don't think we had the PlayStation back then. Oh, sorry you have a migraine. Those are a pain in the butt. I am not. Thankfully, I don't get those, but... So, my number 3, he gets migraines every once in a while. He gets very light sensitive when he gets those. And those come from his mom's side of the family. Because his grandma, my ex-wife's mom, gets them every once in a while. And then my ex-wife's sister also gets them every once in a while. Holy cow, an aneurysm. Holy smokes, man. Hope you're doing better now. That sounds horrible. Well, yeah, definitely stay safe and healthy in these times, but wait, why do you need to get your passport to do that? Like, are you gonna go back to Mexico to do that? Well, I laugh, but probably a hell of a lot cheaper. Also, it's still there. Yikes. Oh, yikes, that is expensive as heck. 15,000 saved up. Oh my goodness. So are you having it done in the States, or are you going overseas to do it? Oh my gosh, a big rattle on your head. Hey man, listen, if it didn't say anything to you, I'll keep you in my prayers and hopefully you'll get better. Holy cow, man. I'm a wimp when it comes to pain or discomfort, so. Yeah, anyway, so I do feel you get better. Yeah, get some tacos and get it removed. Tell you what, getting tacos from Mexico doesn't sound like a bad idea. Well, and you know, I should not disparage Mexican healthcare. There are some very good clinics and hospitals down there. You just have to have the money, right? Like everything else. Oh man, but yeah, that's scary. So yeah, I hope you get better. Hope that goes well. You know, you and your family, you know, can enjoy many more years of, you know, not having a break right over your head or around your head. I'm sorry, I'm walking too fast, so it sounds like I'm breathing kind of heavily and not thinking straight. Yeah, I like orejas, which is basically fried bread. Actually, obleas, that's a type of bread too. I can't think of what they are now. Besos, I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head. I mean, orejas is that fried bread, right? It's like, well, they look like ears. Oh man, you reminded me back when I lived in Mexico City in the early 80s. You know, if you want a fresh bread in the morning, you have to go to the panaderia, right? So there was this family that owned a panaderia, and I guess it was the dad or the older brother realized, hey, there's a section where we live by that there's no panaderia, you know, really close. You have to walk like a mile to go to get bread. So every Saturday morning and Sunday morning, the dad or the older brother will get a big basket of freshly baked bread and in a bicycle and set up shop in a little park close to our house. And I tell you, people will just get up early in the morning to exercise. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go for a jog. Sure, at the park. Yeah, they'll just go buy sweetbread. We did. Yeah, everything good is, I'll rephrase that, everything that tastes good is fried or bad for us health-wise. But hey, gotta love fried stuff. And well, a lot of Mexican food uses lard, which, you know, as you probably know nowadays, it's unhealthy, but man, is it good. What does Gabriel Iglesias says? Don't you want to live long? Not if I can have tacos. And you know what? I'm right there, man. Besides, I have good genes. My maternal grandfather died of 100. My paternal grandma died at 98. My paternal grandfather died at 88, 87. And, well, my maternal grandma died at 74, but it was of ovarian cancer, so I'm not getting that. And if I'm getting that, I have a lot more problems. So, fun fact, this little house that you see here, I'll wait for the noise to go by. Oh my god. Bit of a traffic on a Saturday morning here in Appleton, Wisconsin. Here's one of the main streets of Appleton. Memorial Drive goes north and south. And then just north is College Avenue, which is the main street. Anyway, this house here, Hearthstone House, was the first house in Wisconsin for sure, but maybe even in the United States, that was powered by hydroelectrical electricity. So, you know, kind of fun facts here of Appleton, Wisconsin. Oh, here, I'll tell a couple of quick things about Appleton before we go back to our talking about bad food for us. Harry Houdini, which I think was born somewhere like in Hungary, Bulgaria, something like that, he spent his childhood here in Appleton, Wisconsin. So a lot of the there's like a Houdini school and a museum named after him. If you're familiar with the statue of the raising of the flag in Iwo Jima, you know, there's 4 U.S. Marines and I think 1 Navy guy that raised the flag in Mount Hiribachu, whatever, in Iwo Jima. One of those guys is from this town. If you're into U.S. history, Senator Joseph McCarthy, the guy that did the anti-communist hearings back in the 50s, he's from Appleton. He was a judge here in Allegheny County and then became a U.S. Senator, and he's buried here in Appleton, Wisconsin. Greta Van Susteren, you know, that she used to be in Fox News, now she's in CNN. She's from Appleton, Wisconsin. And what else? If you're a fan of football, American football, and like me, you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Rocky Bleier, who played for the Steelers back in the 70s when they won 4 Super Bowls, is from Appleton, Wisconsin. And I think that's the claim to fame of Wisconsin. I mean, of Appleton, Wisconsin. There's a city just south of Wasnina where I used to live. It's just 10 miles from here. That's where the company Kimberly-Clark started. So, but anyways, that's a quick rundown of why Appleton should be, it's famous, or what's famous for. Fried, lard is better. Hey there, the giver. Yes, I am a Steelers fan. I grew up in the 70s. You were either a Steelers fan or a Cowboys fan. My older brother was a Cowboys fan, so I had to go with the Steelers. Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Franco Harris, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Joe Green. Yeah, that type of feel. Do I miss Mexico? I do at times. Obviously, I miss my friends growing up in Mexico. Thankfully, because of Facebook, I can, you know, get back in contact with them. You know, I miss some of the traditions. I miss just the neighborhood. Yeah, there's parts of Mexico that I miss. You know, thankfully, my immediate family, like my folks and my siblings, are all here in the States and all over the place. And, you know, and my kiddos are here in Wisconsin with me. So, you know, obviously I would be sad if I weren't by them. Although, I am seriously considering, when I retire in about 20 years, retiring in a city in the mountains in the southern state of Chiapas called San Cristobal de las Casas. It's a beautiful colonial city up in the mountains, but maybe an hour drive from the Pacific Ocean. Cheap. Some problems with crime, but hey, they have them everywhere. But yes, I miss parts of Mexico. Mostly the people, but yeah. I need to take my glasses off because you guys are now. You are, yes, I'm Steelers fans. Yeah, seeing them in person is better, absolutely. Are there races in Mexico or in Wisconsin? So, Mexico is interesting because most of the population of Mexico is mestizo. You know, you're a mixture of Indian blood and Spanish blood. So most Mexican, I will say what, 85% of the Mexican population are mestizos. There is some racism against Indians and the few black population that we have, and the minute Chinese, Middle Eastern population. What I would say is more prevalent in Mexico is not necessarily racism, but classicism. So there will be, so instead of disparage a person because of their race, they will disparage a person because of their class. So if you're from the higher social class, you make fun of or you disparage people in the lower social classes. But there is obviously there's some sayings, you can take the Indian out of the mountain, but not the mountain out of the Indian in Mexico. That, it's obviously kind of racist, but also classist. So, I mean, like everything else, you have people that discriminate or think less of others, because of the race, because of their class or their religion or what have you. Yeah, we have that. You have that everywhere. But I would say Mexico is not so much racist as, or rather, I would think, and Chihuahuas, I can't see your name and the sun is in my eyes, so I can't really see. But and I'm horrible at names too. I mean, that's why I call my kids by numbers and not by their names. But my friend, you're from Mexico too. What do you think? Oh, in Wisconsin. Are there races in Wisconsin? I'm sorry. Vicente Fox and the two. Oops. Dang it, I can't see. That's probably getting old. You can't see with or without glasses. I have friends in Wisconsin. Yeah, there is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Felipe Calderon, who was Cedillo? No, he was the one that got killed. But didn't Salinas de Gortari actually taught after he left the presidency for in Harvard? Are there racist people in Wisconsin? I'm sure there are. I have never been. Nobody has ever. Obviously, I have an accent, and believe me, this is not a Wisconsin accent. Because of my job, I'm an attorney and I do a lot of criminal law, and I try to help the Hispanic population that here in northeastern Wisconsin. So I go all over the place, and I have never felt or been the recipient of racism here in Wisconsin. I'm sure there are people who are that way in Wisconsin. I've never met them. Everybody. And I've gone to courthouses like really rural Wisconsin. Appleton only has 60, 70,000 people. I've gone to courthouses where, you have 2,000 people in the city, and the county maybe has 20,000 people. Never had a problem. But I'm sure there are. There's racist people everywhere, right? But nobody has ever. I've never experienced that, other than at a courtroom. You have the person transcribing everything, and sometimes they don't understand what I'm saying, so they will interrupt me and ask me to repeat what I said, and they will be very polite. They will say something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. Could you repeat that?" And I'm thinking, "No, you heard it. You just couldn't understand me," which is fine. But obviously, it was not a racism. It was just that I have an accent. But I'm sure there are. Thankfully, I haven't experienced it. Now, I have to say, and I apologize, I'm not keeping track of chat now. Vicente Fox, buenos días. Hey, Ed Lobo. ¿Qué onda, mi chavo? Glen Flora has less than 1,000. Oh, jeez. What do I think of the president? Corruption in Mexico is part of the culture and will never go away in Russia, Brazil, China. Yeah, well, I would say, there's that old adage, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely corruption everywhere. Unfortunately, there's actually a good book, and what's the name of it? I think it's called El Español y los Siete Pecados Capitales or something like that. It basically goes through the seven, the Catholic Church's understanding of the seven deadly sins and how it has influenced particularly the Spanish culture, and then by default how that influenced the Latin American culture. Yeah, there's a lot of corruption in Mexico, absolutely. There's corruption in the States as well. I mean, we can't say there's not. What do I think of the president? Oh, hold on. Let me go back here. There, the giver, where are you? I'm sorry, I missed that. Earlier I was talking to my friend that there's a surprisingly large Mexican population, and I don't mean Hispanic, I mean people from Mexico. People that, like me, who are immigrants here in Wisconsin, for which I was very surprised. What do you think of the president? I like some of his policies. I don't like some of his policies. That's a lawyer answer for you. I like some. No, I think he needs to. That's a very interesting question. I think he's done well in most economic policies. I think that prior to COVID, I mean, the economy was up and up. It is true that it was already going a little bit up and up under Obama. I think it accelerated under Trump because of some of his policies. I don't like the fact that he spends like a crazy sailor. No offense to sailors out there. He just spends too much money. I think that, okay, that's economics. I think his foreign policy has been surprisingly effective. I didn't think, no, caveat, the North Korea thing, nothing has come out of that. I mean, yeah, he met with Kim Jong-un, but nothing has come out of that, so I don't know how that is going to work. But I mean, dude, we're the United States. People like us by default, not because they like us, but because they need us or they fear us. So, it doesn't matter if you're Obama or Trump, there's that included. But I do think that I think the world wants the United States to lead because we're the biggest guys we're the biggest bullies in the playground. So I think the rest of the world wants us to lead. So I think they like that about Trump, that he looks like somebody that's ready to lead if necessary. Although to his credit, we haven't started any war, so that's good. Immigration, I'm also an immigration lawyer, so look, I'll give him credit that he tried to negotiate to make the DACA people, to have the DACA privilege be the law and permanent and not just something that the president gives and takes away. Unfortunately, politics got in the way. So I would say that I am very disappointed at both parties when it comes to immigration, because both parties give a lot of lip service. The Democrat says, oh, elect us and we will give you a path to citizenship. The Republicans say, hey, elect us and we will, close the borders to legal immigrations and drugs. And then when it comes down to it, neither party does what they say they would do, because if they do what they say they would do, then you don't have that issue for people to vote for you. So, but I will say this, he's a very, and I also don't necessarily like all his tweets and everything that he says. Although at the same time, I love how he makes the media crazy. So, all right, I need to stop for a second and see what you guys are saying, because I'm not used to having people actually chatting with me. So let's see here. Let's go back here. Glen Flora, corruption in Mexico. Oh, you're in Canada. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so yeah. Oh yeah, we can compare. Yeah, no, that's a good point, my friend. We cannot compare the level of corruption in, say, Mexico, Brazil, China to the United States. Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely right. I mean, I think we can't say that there's not corruption in the States, but yeah, not on the levels of those countries. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, corruption in the States is, well, and that's one of the difference between Latin American governments and the ways they're set up in American government and the American government, and following the British style of government. I think corruption. Morning. I think corruption is, well, I shouldn't say corruption, but it's easier to be corrupt under the Hispanic model, especially in Mexico, because everything's centralized in Mexico City. So you get around the right people in Mexico City and you're done. In the States and under the American system, there are more check and balances. Not to say there's no corruption, but it's not as widespread and not to the level. So yeah, I agree with that. No. Oh, Canada, so obviously my former brother-in-law, or ex-brother-in-law, they live in Toronto. He lives in Toronto with his family, 4 girls. Nice city, Toronto. I've been to Toronto. Actually, Appleton, Wisconsin, believe it or not, I'm farther north than Toronto, Canada. Who am I voting for? Oh, geez. Well, and my friend, you've been kind of unfair. You live in California, so you got, well, although you guys do get hot summers, right? But that's nice weather basically year round in parts of California. So yeah, don't make fun of us, because Ed Lobo, we're down in South Texas where it's hot most of the year. I'm up in Wisconsin where it is below freezing, 6 months out of the year, or almost close to that. And there they give, you're in Canada, so you know what winters are really like. But yeah, don't make fun of us, my friend. You have nice weather, longer period of time than we do. Who am I going to vote for? Oh man, you're really cutting through the big questions today. I'm voting for Trump. I didn't vote for him last time. You know, of the 2 options, he's the best option. I mean, you know, he's got many faults, absolutely. But like I told somebody, I forget, one of my coworkers, you know, I'm not voting for the guy who's gonna be dating my daughter. I just want him to do a good job, and you know, and do that, and that's it. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. All right, guys. Right now I'm gonna go. I mean, Appleton, Wisconsin, the downtown area. It's a little town, 60,000, 70,000 people, and I think they have the, yeah, they have the farmers market right now, which is basically people, local people selling their produce. So I'm gonna walk through it for a little bit, and then yeah, we can keep on talking. There's 7 other cities with Los Angeles type weather, so I'm moving to retire. You mean in California or just somewhere else?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day. You too.
But like as I was saying earlier, Look at San Cristóbal de las Casas. It's up in the mountains. It's beautiful colonial town. I mean, it's just beautiful. And so here's some of the produce they sell here in Wisconsin. Summer, it's a good season. Locally grown stuff. Man, now I'm getting hungry just looking at this stuff. And so yeah, so it's not in Chiapas, so it's cheaper, but there is that expense to it. It's kind of expensive. I mean, no, sorry, not expense. Crime. You're in Chiapas, so as long as you live smart and people don't know you're American, you should be fine. You know how it is worth. Holy cow! Wow. But that's not a crazy thing about California. It's just the real. Well, it's so expensive. The real estate is expensive. My son, who's down in Escondido, down in the San Diego area, he's starting to do something with movies. I have no idea. 3D rendering, whatever. I have no idea how that goes. But he's actually looking for jobs in Texas because he says it's just so expensive here. So even though he graduates at the end of this month, he needs to take one more class. So to save money, he's not doing the. Oh my gosh, there's some sort of food that smells very good. Oh, there's burgers. Oh, that's what smells good. So instead of living on hey, we were talking about fresh bread bakeries. Look at that. So instead of staying on campus, which is very expensive, he and some of his buddies are renting an apartment because, like I said, he just has one more class to go, and then he's gonna work while he takes the one class. And he's like, that is so expensive. And I'm like, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So you sell that house, and then if you come to Wisconsin, $1.7 million. Geez, you can buy a mansion. So I'm telling you, man, San Cristóbal de las Casas is the place to be. Yeah, Texas is great. I mean, I used to live in Houston. I mean, it's not the size of LA, but it's what, 5 million people. Earlier I was talking about Houdini Plaza. Harry Houdini, who spent some of his youth here in Appleton, Wisconsin. So they have a plaza here, and this is like the central focus of Appleton, Wisconsin. So when there's protests or whatever, this is where they take place, Houdini Plaza. Yeah, we had a farmer's market. So I was telling Admi, the friend, earlier that we opened up 2 months ago, I think. There is a mask mandate, and you saw a lot of people there wearing masks at the farmer's market. I'm not wearing one because I'm going for a walk, and because I'm a troublemaker. No, but yeah, and I was telling my friend earlier that a lot of people in Wisconsin, it's a rural state, and people here have a lot of common sense, and even if they might complain that it's unconstitutional for Walmart to require me to wear a mask or whatever, they pretty much wear it, because they understand it's common sense. But yeah, Texas is, Houston, it's not actually, I would say it's as cosmopolitan as LA. I don't want to offend you because you live in LA, but obviously Mexican population. Although, and I didn't know this, but there's a big difference between Tex-Mex culture and Cali-Mex culture. So if you were to move to Texas, you're gonna notice some differences. But no, Houston is a good place to live. It's a nice city. It's it's close to the Gulf, and it's probably just as cosmopolitan as LA. 5 million people in Houston, probably more with the metropolitan area. DFW is a nice area. San Antonio is beautiful. Or you can go down to the valley and make friends with Ed Lobo, but he's bad influence. Oh, somebody dropped off. Oh, Mundo, you're the one who said, or Ed Lobo, you're the one who said that you guys, everything's closed down. Oh, I thought it was the Canadian guy. Austin is nice too. It's not as big as San Antonio or Dallas or Houston. I should say that in order, as Houston, San Antonio, or Dallas. But it's the seat of the government. You have a lot of restaurants, a lot of amenities, and you're what, 45 minutes from San Antonio? Well, depending on traffic, on 45, right, El Lobo? I think it's 45. So you can go down to the Alamo Dome and watch the Spurs, or they used to have a real football there. Sorry. You know what? I should show you guys this. The city of Appleton just did this a couple of years ago. It's like, so it used to be an empty lot, so they made it into a nice, excuse me, play area for kids and families to spend time. So, it's a nice little park, playground area, and then as you go to the left, there's also like a little stage for people to put plays or little mini concerts. And that building right there, that 10 building, is the courthouse on the lower floors, and the upper floors with the tiny little windows, that's the county jail. Anyway, no, but Austin, yeah, it's nice, and you're close. You're what, 45 minutes to an hour from San Antonio. You are, I think it's 3 hours to Dallas, and then you're also 3 to 4 hours from Houston. So, and like I said, it's a big enough city too that you can fly back and forth to California. And if not into Austin's trouble, I'm sorry, it's not Austin's trouble, I forget what it's called, the airport. You can fly to San Antonio because that's a big enough airport too. And it's a nice town too, Austin. It's smaller, it's a smaller city, but it's, you know, it has a lot of the amenities of a bigger city because it's the, you know, seat of the government. What is wrong with this thing? I think we lost our Canadian friend. How long have I been walking? That's not too bad. Yeah, I've never lived in Austin. When I was in Texas, I used to live in South Texas, Harlingen, close to the Mexican border. Then I went to school in Dallas for 4 years, actually 5. And then I went to, I lived in Houston for 3 years, and back to Harlingen, and then up here in Wisconsin. There's another look of the jail in the Outagamie County courthouse and just government building. Here we have St. Joseph's Church. So here's something that's kind of different about the Midwest and from, say, LA or Texas. So the Midwest was settled by a lot of Germans, a lot of Polish, a lot of Irish. So you have all these different ethnicities, right? And they're all Catholic, but they're not the same ethnicity, so they can't get along. So right here you have St. Joseph's Church, Catholic Church, here in Little Appleton, Wisconsin, built back in sometime in the 1800s. Well, literally 2 blocks away, there's another Catholic church, St. Mary's Church, also built in the 1800s for a different ethnicity. So it's not uncommon to have, you know, what used to be a German church, a German Catholic church, or an Irish Catholic church, a Polish Catholic church, you know, within a block of each other. I was married down in South Milwaukee in an old, beautiful German church, or a Catholic church that was built by Germans. And less than a block away was a beautiful Catholic Polish church, and it looks like the Eastern Orthodox style. And I'm like, dude, it's the same religion but different ethnicities. So anyway, so there's St. Mary's Church in the background. That's what, okay, maybe a block and a half away. And here's St. Joseph's Church. It's like people, and this is the City of Appleton Police Department. LAX to Thailand is $450. Hey, that's not bad. So I don't go to Mexico very often anymore because we were the last ones to immigrate to the United States. Long story short, My dad is an only child, and so he only had 5 kids. And my mom is the youngest of 5, and they're from Guadalajara, which is our Canadian guy back. I don't think so. And he, so my maternal grandfather moved from Guadalajara to Matamoros on the Texas border because of job, and then eventually immigrated to Harlingen, Texas, which is, I think it's 5-10 miles north of the Mexican border. So all my first cousins are Texans, so they're U.S. citizens. So we do have, so for my dad's side of the family, he was an only child, so his cousins' family live either in northern Mexico, in Matamoros, Reynosa, Monterrey. A couple of them might have something to do with the drug world, but we don't talk about them. And then my mom has obviously her cousins, first cousins, second cousins, and my mom is in her 80s, so all her first cousins, second cousins are dead or almost dead. So, but she has nieces and nephews, all Guadalajara, Mexico City, other areas, but we really don't know them. So I don't go to Mexico very often. I go, like I'm going down to Harlingen to visit my folks at the beginning of September, and I'll cross over to the border town and buy some chucherías, and that's it. But no, I haven't been in Mexico City since '93. Oh, you're from Guadalajara? Out of a few million parallel universes, you're my godfather or something. You know what? No kidding. We're all related in some way or another. But funny you say that about flights. So this spring break, I like to drive down to visit my folks. A 24-hour drive from Appleton to South Texas, and I'll take whatever kids are on vacation for spring break. So this time I was going to take number 4 and 5, or number 3, something or other. Then they closed the schools down, so I'm like, hey, I can take all 3, 4, and 5 down to South Texas. But I ended up not doing it because of COVID. So then I had vacation days, and I'm like, well, what do I do? And there were flights to Mexico City like for $110 round trip, and there were hotels in downtown Mexico City, like for $30 a night. So I almost went, but then I said, no, I don't want to get stuck down there. I wouldn't mind getting stuck down there, I just didn't want to. So I do have to say that about my mom and her family. Her parents and her older sisters were born in the town of Toluquilla, which now is just a suburb of Guadalajara, but back then it was a different town. But by the time my mom was born, back in '39, they had moved to Guadalajara. So she always tells my sisters, you are from a little town, I'm from the Ciudad de Guadalajara. So just to make fun of them. Heck yeah, man, Chilango and con mucha honra. Oddly enough, so a Chilango is somebody who was born in Mexico City but whose parents are from Provincia. And my dad's from Matamoros, my mom's from Guadalajara. So yeah, I'm 100% Chilango. Although if you ask my dad, he'll say he's from Mexico City. Not from Matamoros. Well, I don't know now. He used to say he's from Mexico City. He moved down there in '62, I think. '63. Yeah, so when my mom moved to Matamoros, she met my dad, I guess, in the junior high, I guess it was. That's how they met. But then she immigrated, or maybe high school, but then she immigrated to the U.S. in Harlingen, which is, 10 miles north. But back then, you could just cross, you were from Matamoros or Reynosa or border town, you just crossed for the day and nobody cared. So they were dating, and then my dad got a job in Mexico City, and then he proposed to my mom. They actually got married in Harlingen, Texas. And the way I heard it was that my dad told my maternal grandfather, that, oh yeah, I'll get a job back in Matamoros so you can be close to your daughter. Lies. Went back to Mexico City and stayed there till 1986. Yeah, tacos al pastor. There's a place here that sells them, and they're good, but they're not, tacos at a stand, with the al pastor, the trompo going around, middle of the street, cars going back, throwing smog, a little bit of dirt. You have a Coca-Cola because you drink the water, you get diarrhea. I miss that. I had a friend that we live in Mexico City, and sometimes, we left when I was teenager, so we didn't have that much money, but sometimes we'll go out to eat. Well, not out to eat, we'll eat at a street vendor. And he would say, me da unos tacos pero sin tifoidea. And the vendor would be like, ¿Qué pasó, joven? But yeah, I miss, earlier our friend from Canada mentioned that if I miss Mexico, those are the things that I miss. Obviously I miss some of my friends, but like I said, since my family's in the States, obviously I don't want to leave. I want to stay here. Although once my kids graduate once my youngest graduates high school, she's going to 6th grade, so I have 6 more years to go. It's like, I don't want to stay in Wisconsin. It's super cold in the winter time. It's beautiful at this time of the year, but geez, man, it gets cold real quick. Like my boys all played soccer, right? And in Wisconsin, the soccer season is in the fall, which, when you start, it's nice in the 80s, it's sunny, it's great. But when they end in October, holy cow, that when you go to soccer games wearing, long underwear, pants, long underwear on top too, and a long shirt and a sweatshirt and a heavy coat and gloves and a hat or even a mask, and holy cow, man, it's not fun. I miss the girls being instructed by the English. So last time, we moved to the States, to Harlingen, and my dad stayed behind because he worked with Banamex, and he had, I think, 6 more years to work before he retired and got a pension. So he stayed back in Mexico City and with the house, and he was put it up for sale and what have you. So I think it was after 1 year living in the States, we went back to Mexico City and stayed at our house. It was the last time we saw our friends from the, from el barrio. Well, this wasn't el barrio, la colonia. And yeah, it was interesting because you grew up listening to music, right? Rock en español, but also, American music. And then you go back and you're still listening to the songs, but you can now understand them. And you tell your friends what the songs say, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that, and oh, that's a deep song, or oh, that's a crappy song. It has good music, but the words are crap, So yeah, it's kind of cool. But yeah, there's many things that I miss about Mexico, but like I said, family first. That's one thing when I retire. I like San Cristobal de las Casas because it also is, it's just 20-minute drive to Tuxtla Gutierrez Airport, which is the capital of Chiapas. And well, at least right now, but I think right now everything is cheap. Flights from there to, say, Dallas are not that expensive. But again, I think it's because of right now nobody's flying. Oh, so you are through LA. Is that East LA? You've seen that movie, right? Born in East LA with Cheech Marin. It's a great 90s movie. I had to rewatch that. I should recommend it to my 2 older ones, but I have to rewatch it just to make sure it's not too naughty. Actually, I was born not in a hospital, but like in a, well, it was a hospital run by nuns in Mexico City, but it closed down like 10 years after I was born, so now it's like a private residence or something like that. Oh, you're glad you never lived in East LA? It's a bit awkward with family. Yeah, how does that saying go? You get to choose your friends, but you don't get to choose your family. Yeah, I'm lucky that my siblings are okay. Actually, they're fine. I get along with my siblings. I get along with my parents. My cousins I get along with, but since we grew up away from them, and we grew up in Mexico City and they were in Texas, and we only saw them on vacations, I get along with them, but I'm not as close I should be. And then, sure, I was in high school in South Texas with them, but I didn't hang around them. I hung around my friends. And then I went back to Harlingen, but then I was married, and my first one was baby, and then we got a second one, and so I mean we did stuff as a family, but I never became. I'm not close with them, but I'm not as close as I could be, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, lots of fun. So how is East LA now? I mean, obviously, unfortunately, I've never been to LA. I've been to California a couple of times, never been to LA. You hear that, the gangs and robbers, but I would think it's basically it's a part of town where working class families live, but most of them are probably just hardworking, want to get on with their lives, and unfortunately have to live with the realities of life and the gangs and what have you. But I would think most people are just regular people, like here in Appleton or here in Wisconsin. "17, yeah, we've all been there. We've all been 17, and we've all had those hormones. I mean, we still have them, right? Yeah, that, what? It's funny you say that, because my daughters are 4 and 5, or number 4 and number 5. My older daughter. She's gonna be 15 this year, and I'm like, better not see any boys come around the house anytime soon, because I remember those hormones. Yeah, it's interesting. This area, Appleton, and before I lived in Neenah, which is like, I said 10 miles. Well, I guess 10 miles is right. 5 and 10 miles south of here. I live there too. It's a great area to raise families. I always joke that down in Neenah, it's a city of 25,000 people. In the wintertime, I'll go to the post office, and you see a car running with nobody inside of it, and the door is unlocked. Well, elderly people have nothing to do, and will go to the post office to mail something, and it's cold, so they leave their car on with the heater on, running and unlocked so they can get back in. They'll shuffle their way inside of the post office, do what they have to do, chat out the clerk for about 20-30 minutes, come back, car's still there, nobody steals it, it's fine. People don't lock their doors, that type of community. So it's nice to raise a family around this area. Half of my family's in the Marines, so yeah, stereotypes. Hey man, nothing wrong with going to the Marines. Like I said, my youngest brother is in the Marines, whatever, always a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And then my older brother, actually he was smart, because after high school went to the Navy full time, and then came back home and stayed in the reserves, went to college, back in the Navy as a recruiter, and then he got a job with DHS with Customs and Border Patrol. So he's set to retire with a full pension by the time he's 55, 56, something like that. Yeah, it's a good job if you can get it and you can stick with it. And like I said, I think it's good discipline, and it gives people a reason to get out of their environment, right? I'm assuming in many ways East LA and South Texas are similar in that you have limited options, either work in the area or if you want to go out and see the world and you can't go to college, join the military. Yeah, I've heard that about being a reserve and then going back you know, what do you call it? Active duty, you get more money. Actually, my number two, who's in college now in Dallas, he thought about joining the National Guard because it's a very good deal. I mean, yeah, you have to serve afterwards, but not only do they pay for your college, you also make money. Unfortunately for him, he's got issues with asthma and allergies, so they're like, yeah, we're not gonna take you. And also because he would have to transfer his service from Wisconsin to Texas. So, but mostly the asthma and the allergies. But let me check something real quick. Oh, that's not that bad. And yeah, I know I've done 8,000 steps, but how long have I been walking? Oh, an hour 17. Okay. Well, listen, Adam, my friend, I think I'm gonna listen. Yeah, I appreciate you spending your morning, even though you had a migraine, you know, putting up with me and my walk through the city of Appleton and just bubbling around. I'll try to do this every Saturday morning, sometimes Sunday morning, 7 o'clock my time, which will be 5 o'clock your time. Hey, you're welcome to come back whenever you want, but I do appreciate you accompanying me through this walk, getting my exercise. I hope you're well. You know, good luck in your surgery. You know, like I said, if it means anything to you, I'll pray for you and your surgery and a speedy recovery. And you know, thank you for spending time with me. Have a great day, man. All right, take care.